Red Shark IBC 2023 coverage is sponsored by.
So we're at the Pixotope booth here at IBC 2023. I've got Marcus and Ben with me. I guess a lot of people won't be familiar with Pixotope at all. Everyone knows that virtual production, motion capture is really growing exponentially, probably. It's the future as far as most forms of production are concerned. But I really would like to know, what is it Pixotope does that is special, and why you guys are so successful at the moment? So can you just give me a little bit of background, a little bit of what it is that you guys do that is exceptional?
Sure. I think to kind of understand Pixotope and why we seem to be sort of doing well these days is you kind of have to understand sort of the media industry in general and kind of what's happening. And I think so it's part of it's timing thing. There's a lot of things going on right now with media production. And obviously the biggest impact is really, the pressure from so-called new media, internet, gaming, online. So the customers and the viewers are changing their habits, which is, again, of course, creates both challenges and opportunities for traditional media. And I think we happened to come sort of onto the playing field when this was sort of starting.
Yeah.
And because our background is from production as well, we started building tools that could leverage these new technologies initially for ourselves to kind of combat some of those challenges and use some of those opportunities.
Because I remember from your early days, you were doing things like animating weather forecasts and, early sort of instances of this technology being used in game shows. And even back then, it was a software-based product.
So that's how the software came about. There literally was no alternative in the market, so we built it ourselves. So we were doing our own game show together with Fremantle Media. And then eventually that turned into what became Pixotope, which was as a product for marketing. And then, of course, things are moving very, very fast these days. So there's a lot of developments, even in those 5-6 years this originally started. And I think now we've gotten to a point where everyone is starting to understand and feel that there's a real opportunity to leverage these tools and technologies to kind of bring their business of media creation into the future. And with that, there's also a shift in focus, maybe from, features and stuff like this to how does this actually impact your workflow? Well, how does it impact, the bottom line in a way? Like, how many people do you need? How much time do you need?
So and in a way, I suppose you're in a kind of virtuous circle because, you've got customer expectations are growing because they're used to slick visuals, but also you can do far more virtually than you could, with a physical set.
Yep.
So, in terms of budget, it's more cost effective as well, I guess. So, it's you're in the middle of that virtuous circle in a way, enabling that progress.
I think that's absolutely true. And I think one thing that makes Pixotope different is that because we come from that production background, it's in our blood. We understand the challenges that the customers are having. And, one thing we always strive for, and is kind of in our mission, is to make virtual production more and more accessible. And make it more accessible to a broader audience, but making it more accessible in terms of how you deploy it. How many people you need to, as Mark said, how many people you need to actually to run a production, making it less of a challenge, less of an obstacle. And that's in everything we do. That's inherently in design of our user experience in the UI. It's in the technical setup. So we have both tracking and graphics. They work together. They work together naturally. There's one less integration point. But even in things we do like the Pixotope education program, which is about helping colleges and universities educate the next generation of students, not necessarily just in Pixotope, but in virtual production in general. So we have that talent pool coming into the industry.
Each time the field of virtual production grows, your market. It's always...
Exactly. Success in virtual production is success for us.
Yeah. So you mentioned camera tracking there. I guess that's the one part of your product that is physical.
Sort of. So it is essentially a software product as well.
Yes.
And it comes in a few different flavors. So what we call Pixotope Fly, which is it's sort of positioned currently for drone tracking, but can have multiple applications. That is a pure software solution. There is no extra hardware involved. Obviously, you need a computer to run the software on it. But beyond that, it is the software. And then for what we call vision and market tracking, you have what we call a witness camera, which is a little extra device you put on your main camera. But it is still very much a software driven. I mean, and we, tracking. The reason we acquired camera tracking was because we felt like this was still the biggest challenge to overcome for a lot of customers to successfully do rush production. And so it continues to be our main focus to, how do we make it more accessible? How do we reduce the setup time? Essentially, how do we turn it in a way so you never have to talk about camera tracking again?
Okay.
Because it just goes the way.
So it just works.
Yeah.
You can just assume in camera tracking. Yeah.
And that's kind of true for everything we do. I mean, our CTO the other day said, if we could make virtual production be one button you press,
yep,
that's what we're going to build.
So, looking out to the future, I don't expect you to give away any commercial secrets, but how are you preparing for the future? Because we all know the future involves AI, it's going to become a little more virtual, all kinds of factors, but how are you building a platform that is fit for the future?
I think there's a bunch of technology stuff that we are looking at, within machine learning and computer vision.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the most important thing that we're doing right now is making sure that everything we build is open, so that customers who bring their productions onto our platform can feel comfortable knowing that it's their data. They can always, move it to something else later.
So, for example, are there open standards in camera tracking?
Funny you should ask about that. We are working and trying to come up with something.
Right.
And I think, the approach we're looking at, we're working with the Cinti groups is dealing with virtual production. But we're also looking at essentially how to open source the stuff we've built already. It is very good, and we think it's something that, would help the business at whole.
I mean, I think it's really important to get these standards, because every time you get a really good standard, HTML, the MIDI, it spawns whole new industries.
Yep.
Yeah. So much as you want to have your own vertically integrated technology, you also want to be able to share it, interchange it.
And I think, if you think about, the value for us is, it's not having, a camera tracking format to be proprietary. The value for us is as many people as possible doing work production.
Yeah.
And I think that's, everything we do is kind of pushing in that direction. And we think openness and transparency is the best way to do that. And it's more in line with also how younger generations of professionals are approaching these things. They're coming at it from a different angle.
So for you, I mean, just roughly result, because I could talk all day about it, but for you, what does success look like? You're already successful, but what does success look like in 5 years?
I was just going to say, well, success for us is our customer success, and that's always a focus. We very rarely shout about what we do as a company, but we just put all out praise for what our customers do. And we got some examples behind here, of some of the amazing work that the customers doing, and they're making money because they have incredible activations. They've got incredible viewer engagement, and that's their success, and that's our success. And the more people we can help to do that, the better.
We always celebrate when we realize someone has done a successful production and we never heard about it. So we just learn about it 6 months later.
Right.
That's absolutely the best.
So that's the system of what you were saying, which isn't just want it to disappear, but want it to get in there.
And we think we really believe that virtual production and media production is becoming essentially the same thing. And that at some point in the future, you won't really be talking about virtual production anymore.
No, you'll be talking about production.
You just talk about production.
Awesome. Well, that's a good thought to end on, guys. Thanks ever so much.
Oh, thank you,
David.